the door. So I open the door and then they come in and they say, take me to the like. Sure, it was like. Then I again, it's a big room. Yes. All set feet. On that is. Yeah. So what happens to the girls? I find the same, what I was
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Open Meeting Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a regular meeting on February 20, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Commission chambers on the second floor of the Brownsville City Hall, Old Federal Building located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street. Members of the public who submitted a public comment form will be permitted to offer public comments as provided by the agenda and as provided by the presiding officer. A recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. It is now 5:05, Mayor. You may now call the meeting.
Thank you, Marina. Being that we do have a quorum present, I'd like to call today's meeting to order.
Thank you. The next item is invocation, which will be done by Pastor Brad Burks.
Let's all stand for the prayer and please remain standing for the pledge to the flag afterwards. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for this nation that we're blessed to be in. Lord, we thank you for our freedoms. Lord, I thank you that our high school athletes can pray openly and not suffer consequences. I thank you that we have prayer here. And Lord, specifically tonight, we ask you to lead and guide our mayor and our commissioners to do what is right and holy according to your word. Lead and guide each of us and give us a craving for your word in the Bible so that we can understand what is right and follow your will. Lord, we thank you so much for all of this, and we ask it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. And let's have a short moment of silence where we can all add our own prayers to what has already been spoken. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Next item, proclamations. The first one is Veterans Memorial High School Football Team.
Are we getting a moment?
We do ask for the football team, members of the football team, to please come forward.
Hi there. How you doing? A lot of people. Jaime. Jaime.
Congratulations. Hi. Congratulations. Did you? Yeah.
A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing Brownsville Veterans Memorial Early College High School football advancing to the UIL 5A Division I state semifinal. Whereas on December 1st, 2023, the 2023-24 Brownsville Veterans Memorial Early College High School football team program achieved a remarkable milestone by advancing to the state semifinals for a round 5 playoff matchup against Smithson Valley, played at Buccaneer Stadium in Corpus Christi on December 8, 2023, becoming the 16th team in the Rio Grande Valley's history to reach the state semifinal round of the playoffs and the first since 2003. Garnering widespread support throughout the Rio Grande Valley, and whereas the Brownsville Veterans team competing at the varsity level under the UIL banner since 2012 demonstrated exceptional skill and determination throughout the season, finishing as the 16-5A Division I champions with an impressive 6-0 district record, boasting a remarkable 12-3 overall record and showcasing their prowess with 4,742 rushing yards, 1,280 passing yards, a total of 6,022 yards, including an outstanding 77 touchdowns. Whereas the team's roster, led by head coach J.C. Ramirez, featured exceptional student athletes including Andy Ayala, Cesar Belmontes, Riley Bocanegra, Maddox Bond, Joseph Brock, Ray Cantu, Brian Castillo, Nico Cisneros, Max Cordova, Maximiliano Cordova, Jacob De Leon, Joe De Leon, Jaden Fernandez, Max Fernandez, J.P. Flores, Alex Garcia, Jezreel Garza, Jerry Gomez, Elifa Gomez, Francisco Gonzalez, Nathan Guerrero, Elio Gutierrez, Jerry Jaramillo, Rafael Lara, John Luna, Vincent Lucio, Matthew Maldonado, Juan Marroquin, Aaron Martinez, Jaime Martinez, Steven Martinez, Alonso Mireles, Michael Montoya, Storm Montoya, Overland Moreno, Josh Perez, Angel Pinales, Eros Pineda, Matthew Piñon, Andrew Quintero, Enrique Rendon, Roman Reina, Tyson Rios, Mickey Rodriguez, Damian Rodriguez, Leo Rosales, Jacob Rosas, Jake Sainz, Mark Samano, Jose Sanchez, Santiago Sanchez, Miguel Silvera, Sergio Sosa, Nick Tovar, Alvin Trevillon, Calvin Trevillon, Gilbert Trillo, Malachi Valdez, Edgar Varela, Evan Vega, Edgar Vela, Javier Vera, Israel Yanes, and Zeke Zarate each contributed to the team's success, and whereas the graduating seniors, 18 in total, bid farewell, leaving behind a legacy of excellence and leadership, while 17 returning players ensure the team's continuity, promising an exciting future for Brownsville Veterans football. And whereas Coach Ramirez's dedicated coaching staff, which includes Mike Evans, Pete Lozano, Jesus Alanis, Jaime Castañeda, Jerry Delgado, Juan Ayala, Jose Zarate, Joe Martinez, Andrew Crum, Mark Schlatter, Ruben Cortez, Matt LaFleur, Adam Vera, Henry Villalon, Javier Vargas, Albert Vasquez, Melissa Barrera, and Liz Crum played an instrumental role in guiding the team to unprecedented success, with Coach Ramirez leading his team to a historic 10-game winning streak and victories, overcoming a 2-2 start in non-district action. The season reached a new height and notable playoff victories over McAllen High School, Corpus Christi Veterans, PSJ North High School, and Corpus Christi Miller. Coach Ramirez's strategic leadership resulted in the Chargers making history by reaching the 5th round of the state semifinals and securing victories in the district championship, by-district championship, area championship, regional semifinal championship, and regional championship. And whereas Coach Ramirez has deep-rooted connection to Brownsville, being a lifelong native and a product of Brownsville Independent School District, took the helm at Brownsville Veterans, head football coach and athletic coordinator in 2023, demonstrating strategic leadership that propelled the Chargers to new heights in the Texas UIL football playoffs. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of an authority vested by the charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby recognize and honor the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Early College High School football program for their achievements done on this 20th day of February 2024. Congratulations. Congratulations. Coach, great job. Great job. Great job. Hey, congrats.
And Coach JC, if you would like to share out some words, the stance is there for you. And as you're going up there, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I had the privilege and the opportunity to attend your games here in Sam Stadium as well as Corpus Christi. I was so motivated and moved by the way that you guys played, your persistence, your determination, and really how this youth and the story that we have here is that you captivated an audience and you brought the whole RGV together. And that to me spoke volumes. We're a community that support our youth. Thank you so much to our coaching staff who sometimes sacrifice so much family time and they adopt all of you all as your kids and your own. And so I know that a lot of hard work went behind the successes to this season. And I just wanted to say thank you. Commissioner Villarreal, thank you for recognizing them as well. My only question is, are you guys ready to do it again 24-25 season?
Well, thank you again for having us. At this time, I'd like to give the microphone to one of our student athletes.
Hi, my name is Michael Rodriguez. I'm a strong safety, and I'm currently a junior at Veterans Memorial. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for not only this honor, but also being great leaders for our community. We know you might not know who we are, but we know who you are, and we know you work hard every day, and we want to do the same for you guys. So we want to say thank you, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
So to the commission, thank you. I know that, celebrations like this are something that you guys are able to experience. You host different groups here, but for us, like you said, how it's stated here in this proclamation, this was a very phenomenal season for us. And, there were so many victories that we were able to relish, and so many of those had nothing to do with the scoreboard. It is a privilege to serve, just like you do, our community as educators, as coaches, and I'd like to publicly thank our school principal, Ms. Norma Jean Canales, who's here tonight, for her great leadership. But really, the boys are afforded so many opportunities to go out and enjoy, their school day and be a part of something as special as being part of this football team. And we know that those opportunities are afforded to them by the many sacrifices of the adults in our community. And there could be no bigger influence over their lives than their parents and their families. And so if you're a parent of one of our Chargers, and if you're here tonight, if you would please stand, I'd like for you to publicly be recognized as well. So all our parents. So again, thank you all for having us. It was a great ride, and it is a privilege to say that we are all a part of the same entity, which is this beautiful city of Brownsville. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Ramirez, I just want to say one last thing, because we got a chance. I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity, and you boys for going to speak to you before your games. And I think that I said this once, and this is the last time I get to talk to your team, especially seniors, right, that are departing. But I want you to remember that what you accomplished here and the reason that the proclamation exists on my behalf, right, is the fact that it transcends a school and a sport, right? What you did here is you showed an entire community, right, the most important thing in the world, and that's to believe. And that, I think, I hope you felt it in the Christmas parade from the community. I hope you felt it at Sam Stadium where we were definitely over capacity, but it's okay because we didn't look that way, right? But I hope you feel the love, but you really help shape and transform the lives of a lot of young kids. And you reignited a fire in some adults to kind of give us back that we can do whatever we want to do as long as we believe that we can. And you did that. So thank you guys once again.
We have a dinner date. I bribed them that we were gonna go get some burgers, so we'll let you do your business. Thank you guys for having us.
Next proclamation, recognizing the Rotary International 119th anniversary.
May I please call up all the Rotarians to please come forth?
Welcome.
And it's an honor today to read today's proclamation as a fellow Rotarian. I wish you all great congratulations. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, recognizing Rotary International 119th anniversary. Whereas the City of Brownsville boasts a long history of service and volunteerism by its citizens as members of Rotary International. There are 4 Rotary clubs in the City of Brownsville that serve the community and the world. The Rotary Club of Brownsville, the Rotary Club of Brownsville Sunrise, the Rotary Club of North Brownsville, and the Rotary Club of Historic Brownsville. And whereas Rotary International is a worldwide service organization founded on February 23rd, 1905, with a membership of 1.4 million professionals and business leaders in 46,000 clubs around the world and grouped into 529 districts. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And whereas Rotary International's vision statement is, together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Rotary joins leaders from all continents, cultures, and occupations to exchange ideas and take action from communities around the world. And whereas the 4 Brownsville-based Rotary clubs engage in community-based projects, such as helping children find their forever homes, volunteering to serve warm meals at the local shelter, providing winter coats to homeless children, and the formation of and mentoring of the RGV Leaders Rotaract Club, multiple Interact clubs, and the first Early Act Club, or the hosting of an international project fair that addresses challenges at the local and international levels, as well as their commitment to promoting peace in our community, our schools, and our families. And now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, and on behalf of all of our citizens, do hereby recognize and honor the Rotary International 119th anniversary and extend our deepest appreciation for all the efforts in our community. We wish them each the best and all of our support in moving forward with this grand tradition and applaud their purpose. Done on this, the 20th day of February, 2024, signed by the Mayor and the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas.
I need to get one with them. You did. With the commissioners behind them. I think so. Take a look at that.
1, 2, 3.
You're in the way.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for our mayor, commissioners, community leaders, and Rotarians for your service above self. Tonight, we are here to celebrate 119th anniversary of Rotary International with this emotive proclamation ceremony. My name is Adriana Contreras Hernandez. I'm the Lieutenant Governor and Public Image Chair of Rotary District 5930. In representation of our District 5930 Governor Luis Cavazos, please receive the following message. My apologies for not being in person with you today for the reason that I'm traveling, visiting clubs around our district. I want to thank the mayor and the city commission of Brownsville for issuing this proclamation today, recognizing the Rotary Club of Brownsville for their service in our community and in the world. Our oldest club, the Rotary Club of Brownsville Downtown, the original club in Brownsville, has been serving this community since 1916 and starting many of the Rotary clubs in the region, including Matamoros. We hope that this will inspire a partnership with all our nonprofit, for-profit, governmental, and religious organizations so that together we can prosper socially and economically. I want to extend a special thank you for our district governor nominee, Elaine Hernandez, from the Rotary Club of Mission for coming up with this idea that is being implemented through our district, and to our district public image chair, Adriana Contreras, from the Rotary Club of Brownsville, Historic Brownsville for promoting it. Again, as our proclamation states, the vision statement of Rotary International states, together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. Thank you from Luis Cavazos, District Governor for Rotary District 5930. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is public comment period. As a friendly reminder for Section 226, meetings and agendas, public input during meetings, conduct, conversations between or among audience members should be conducted outside the meeting room. Attendees should refrain from conversations while commission is in session. Cell phones. Attendees must refrain from the operation and use of cellular phones, pagers, etc., or any mechanical devices that may disrupt city commission proceedings. Placards, banners, or signs are not to be permitted in the commission chambers or in any other room in which the city commission conducts a meeting. Included in this prohibition are various hats, caps, visors, and t-shirts, which may represent sentiments as alluded to regarding placards, banners, and/or signs. Exhibits, displays, and visual aids used in connection with presentations to the City Commission are permitted. Only City Commission members and city staff may approach the dais. If report, letter, etc. is to be presented to the Commission, it should be given to the City Secretary or staff who will make the distribution. It is preferable that the item to be distributed be given to the City Secretary prior to the meeting time. A copy of the item should be made available for the City Secretary's official record. All comments shall be made to the mayor and City Commission as a whole, and not to individual commission members. Mayor, we do have 3 public comments this evening. The first one is Esmeralda Martinez.
Good evening, Ms. Martinez. Buenas tardes.
¿Y qué hago? Porque es la primera vez. Buenas tardes. Ok, ¿en español? Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes. Tienes 3 minutos.
Ok, mire, el motivo de venir aquí es la primera vez, pero vivo aquí por la 1533 West Levy. Esta es mi casa. Entonces, enseguida hay unas personas, vecinos que 24/7 compran y venden carros y están full toda la calle, traen trailers doble piso y es un problema porque están lavando en la noche los carros con la máquina, están haciendo mecánica, entonces el ruido ya es insoportable en mi casa, entonces me tapan mi driveway y fui ahí a la ciudad, entonces estoy en lista de espera, pero yo quiero preguntar si es legal que ellos tengan un negocio de lote de carros en área residencial, entonces, o si me queda ya, por último, vender mi casa porque yo llego bien cansada del trabajo, mi niña está en la universidad y no tenemos, mi parqueadero está invadido de carros, toda la calle es amplia, pero atrás, adelante hay placas, carros sin placas chocados, adentro de la casa de ellos tienen como unos 30 carros, atrás también, entonces, o sea, es insostenible, entonces yo pensé que podía vivir tranquila ahí, pero pues ese es el problema que yo tengo, ¿verdad?
Lo siento, pero nosotros no podemos discutir
Ajá.
en esta junta, pero yo creo puedes hacer una junta con alguien de la ciudad y ellos pueden atender.
Pues yo ya fui, pero ya me cansé, entonces yo pregunté a un abogado y me dijeron que viniera aquí a las juntas o fuera a las Noticias 48 a preguntar, pero pues en la ciudad hay una lista larga de todo como problemas y pues yo no sé qué hacer, si es legal eso, si no pues vender mi casa e irme de ahí.
Yo creo lo mejor es dejar tu número de teléfono y correo y nosotros podemos contactar.
¿A quién se lo dejo?
A
Louis.
¿A usted? Ok, muy amable, gracias.
Ok, gracias.
Next public comment, Yolanda Spies.
Good evening. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. I stand before you today to address a pressing issue that profoundly affects our entire community. In our previous meeting, I spoke about the troubling prevalence of police corruption and the deteriorating state of our streets, particularly my district, which I mentioned. Sadly, my concerns were met with undue suspicion and hostility, leading to my being pursued unnecessarily by one of the police officers while trying to leave the premises. I can confidently assure you my intention was never to single out individuals, but rather to advocate for justice, transparency, and accountability. I believe it is not out of line to ask for justice and restoring my dignity and ensuring our law enforcement officers are adequately trained and respectful of our rights and property as residents. I really look forward to the day when officers no longer patrol our neighborhoods with a heavy hand and are inconsiderate and unprofessional toward us when doing their jobs. Additionally, I respectfully request access to the document outlining communication guidelines with communications and with the commissioners and the mayor. It's not available online, and transparency is tantamount in fostering trust between all of us. In closing, I urge this body to consider my plea for fairness and take decisive action to address these pressing issues that I have presented repeatedly before you all.
Next public comment, Diablo Velez.
My name is Diablo Velez. I have a proposal that it might benefit the homeless. It's a type of law that it might gonna require a state approval. But first, traffic and weather. I don't know how the government works. I know the rules of engagement here. I don't supposed to address a single commissioner by name. All right. So I'm going to speak in plural, if you know what plural means. Ralph Cohen's, if you know what I'm talking about, he came here and he wasn't advertising anything. He wasn't promoting anything. He came here to present a gift to the city. But the commissioner ask him to get the hell out of here and take his gift with him. And because of that, I wanted to move a motion in which the city apologized to him for harassing him, for exposing him, for disrespecting him in such a manner. He don't deserve it. I'm also wanted to move a motion of a vote of no confidence against the commission for the same reason, for harassing him, for disrespecting him in such a manner. He don't deserve it. I know him as an historical, political personality. I'm also wanted to move, to mention how aggressive is the commission against the people that dissent. You cannot dissent against the commission because they send the dogs out on you. For example, I wasn't finished my comment yet, and I was already pulling out of the comment. Same thing with this lady that is always complaining about police brutality. But there he is, right in public in there. Let me tell you something. My comments are designed to last 3 minutes. I practice in them. I memorize in them, even though later I forgot about it. I'm not gonna speak like Fidel Castro, 8 hours. Not even Joe Biden can speak 3 minutes, you know that. So be lenient, be patient. We're gonna finish our comments. Like I said, I don't know how the government works. This privilege of the floor, by design, it don't need to happen. But if you're gonna let us talk, let us finish our comment. We're gonna finish. You don't need to send the dogs out to pull us out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, work sessions. Work session on proposed capital recovery fee program, multimodal transportation.
Mayor, City Commissioners, good evening. During the January meeting, we came before you as an update to the capital recovery fee. There were some directions to staff, and so our consultants have been working on the ask and some of the examples, and so has staff. And so Eddie is here to give that update. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel. Eddie Haas with Friesen Nichols. At our last public hearing, the continued public hearing, you all had made some specific requests regarding sample calculations, regarding a little more in-depth discussion regarding affordable housing, and some then sample calculations of future types of development. So what we have tonight is several things: sample calculations of developments that have already occurred in Brownsville, and if the capital recovery fee program was in place, what would those fees have generated, number one. And then we have some renovation type samples. Then we have some affordable housing discussion as it relates to what are other cities doing that have capital recovery programs, specifically with regards to the affordable housing. And then we have some final sample calculations by service area and some specific residential type questions that might help to address some things. So as this is a work session, I guess feel free to ask questions. I do have with me Joel Garcia, Christopher Nelson, and Juan Pena to help with any other of questions you might have, because we're anticipating they could come from any number of directions. But wanted to start out with this slide here regarding funding tools. So there are a variety of tools that the city uses in investing and implementing infrastructure. You can see all the way from the general bond to different kinds of districts and things. So the road capital recovery fee, highlighted under, as we call it, transportation impact fees, is really just another tool in the toolbox. And again, it's aimed at future development coming to Brownsville and new development paying a fair share or proportionate share of impact to specific development proposals and the impact they put on streets. Simply, that's all it is, okay? Grants are one of them. Again, kudos to the city for receiving 2 big grants for Trails Network in fiscal year 23. Hopefully that continues on. You'll also see transportation user fees, not a part of this discussion. That's dealing with O&M. Some cities are looking at those things, but not part of this discussion, okay? So I just wanted to highlight that aspect. Okay, the image here also is the image from the Capital Road Recovery CIP. Project fund monies that are collected through capital recovery fees can only go to pay for these projects. We brought this up because we wanted to show two things. One, not only the new roads and widenings, but also the relationship of service areas. There's always seems to be a continuing question. What are service areas? Why do we do that? The state law says that service areas can't be greater than 6 miles. So the city has been divvied up into 19 zones, all about 6 miles. That little bubble to the right is aimed at graphically portraying 6 miles. It's not to scale, but it's aimed at saying, hey, as we divvied up the city into these categorical zones, this is what we are contemplating. And the reason for this is simply monies that are collected in each district goes to those projects within each one of those districts. That's all it is, okay? Okay. I also wanted to highlight of that map, many of those projects that have been identified through the CIP process. And when I say the CIP process, that stems from the mobility plan that was adopted last September, which was multimodal in nature, roads, transit, active transportation, all those things. And that was a prioritized process through a travel demand model that identified projects, both widenings. And so here's what we're showing, so just so it might help you all relate to what are specific road widenings that are included in the program. One of those, Dana Avenue. That roadway typically comes up in conversation about the needing for additional lanes for expansion. And here's the list of some of those. These come straight from the report. We have individual sheets, worksheets identifying the costs associated with those widenings. So here's a listing of all those projects in the event that might help refresh your memory on some of those things and where they're located within the community. Uh-oh. Okay, here we go. So the other lines, the new roads, these are projects pulled from your thoroughfare plan, the thoroughfare plan component of the mobility plan, arterial or collector class, aimed at, again, addressing new growth. These are projects that have not been built, projects that are anticipated to be built over time. And so those are highlighted as part of the CIP. Here's a listing of those projects. I don't know if it's the battery. Let's try the long hand with it. Is there a advanced tool here? Okay, here's the listing of those projects. You know, one of those that pops is really the East Loop, a significant project in the southeastern sector of the city. And it's a project by also others, but this is only the city's portion of costs that's included in this program, okay? Could advance the slide, please. Okay, so I want to highlight next sample calculations of development activity that has already occurred and what would the fees have generated. So what we have in this first one is really a multi-phase development called Rosewood Estates up off of Olmito Road near FM 1732. It's a multi-phase residential development. We're only focused on the yellow piece because that's the piece that we pulled from the ACELA, your development review process. So as part of this image, the image may be dated, so there may be some activity that's ongoing, but for the most part, it appears that it's really kind of initiating in construction. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so here's the same Rosewood Estate Section 3. What this consists of is 68 homes and a 4,000 square foot commercial lot somewhere, probably on the corner of Olmito and Summertime Boulevard. So the overall size of the development, 826,000 feet. We have other columns of information. The development cost, unfortunately, we didn't get it for this phase. It wasn't in the system. But we're also highlighting the capital recovery fee cost. This is what the assessment is. In other words, by adopting a potential collection rate of 10%, 50% is the maximum you could go to. So The far right column is that 10% number. So 68 homes plus a 4,000 square foot commercial lot would have generated, under the 10% proposed collection rate, about $69,500 in CRF. The ceiling that you could go to is $183,000, okay? But that's by design. The idea is we're gonna start low, slowly start ramping up. That was the recommendation from the advisory committee, increase about 5% per year. Delayed start, increase 5% a year on a collection rate, okay? Okay, multifamily development, the Verona Apartments, buildings B and C. This is off of Zapata, off of Coffee Road near Zapata Lane, or Zapata Avenue. And what we have here is 8 apartment units in the lower left there, about 6,700 square feet of development. The development cost from the Acela system shows that the improvements associated with this development are about $760,000. Okay, that's just, I guess, what it takes to get the infrastructure on the ground, not just roads, but water, wastewater, anything associated with getting that project on the ground. On the CRF side, at the 10% collection rate, that fee would have been about $3,000. You're ceiling at about $15,000 for those 8 apartment units. Okay?
Yeah, and just to point out that this example would be, because we're going through different examples, this example is for a market rate or apartments, right? So they're not affordable, and that's why they would be, we would calculate the 10% collection.
Yeah, and what Helen is referring to is some of the exemptions we're contemplating as it relates to residential and non-residential. We'll be talking about that here in a second, okay?
And can you explain what the rate is here? How does that fee calculated?
The 3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a combination of the 8 apartment, the multifamily at the 10% collection rate that's proposed, times its service unit equivalent. So you have 8 apartments, there's a service unit or a traffic generation by individual units, times a collection rate of 10%. In this location, in service area 9, where the star is identified, the resultant fee would be $3,000.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. In the beginning, did you say that the fee could go towards sidewalks and trails, or did I mishear you?
It goes to the section of the road section that is part of your normal thoroughfare design standard. So if your standard includes sidewalks or a wider side path as part of the normal standard, it includes that. It would not include a trail that stems off of that. But if it's an on-street trail and there's a segment or on-street bike lane, and that's part of the normal design standard for that particular class of arterial or collector, then that is incorporated. Because it's aimed at vehicular capacity.
So in that apartment example that you just gave, you're talking about the road in front of the...
No, in this case, so all new development is going to be assessed this fee. And the reason for that is, and let's see where you're going. The comment might be, well, golly, we're not adjacent to the road. We shouldn't have to pay a fee. The reality is any new development generates traffic that impacts not only their local street, but a system of streets, ultimately an arterial or collector street as part of the travel, as part of the normal trip length. So that's incorporated as part of this overall program, that there's an impact created by the apartments, and you'll see some other types of development.
And so the design of that street, our design is complete streets, and complete streets includes wider sidewalks for bike and ped, right, in certain connectivity. So, in other words, yes, if that's, and some of them have protected bike lanes as well. So if that's part of that section of the street, like Old Highway 77, then yes, we would be funding that type of street, which is a complete street.
Yeah. And again, to support Helen's comment, because the multimodal plan contemplates multimodal solutions to reduce traffic impact and finding transportation solutions across the board, that's a component of it. What we're talking about as part of this finance tool is strictly the costs collected that goes toward the road piece only. Morrison Road at Pablo Casel Boulevard. This is a 7-Eleven store, a commercial retail type store, located in service area 3. You can see that just east of 77 there. It was one lot, not 10 as shown on screen. It's one lot, about 4,700 square feet of development. The development cost from the Acela system is $800,000 in improvements. That's just more of FYI. But the actual CRF for this 4,700 square foot development would have been about 2,500. Okay. Again, this is the 10% collection rate. As we increase, it slowly bumps up. Ultimately, if you were to go to 50%, it could be 12,900. Okay, but we're talking 10,000 at this point. Okay. A warehouse industrial type development. This is off of just to the east of Paredes Line Road, off of the Civic Circle, Industrial Circle. This is in Service Area 8, just south of 550. What we're talking about is an industrial development, 40,000 square foot in size. The development cost, according to the Acela, is $1.5 million. Under the CRF 10% collection rate, the fee would have been about $10,800. A warehouse located on Padre Island Highway. This is State Highway 48, more or less at Crockett Avenue, just kind of east of Central Avenue. What we're talking about here, this is in Service Area 9. This is a warehouse, a very small warehouse, 4,300 square feet. CRF, $637 under a 10% collection rate. Okay. Finally, shopping center, Blueberry Plaza, located off of Paredes Line, generally kind of north of Main Street. This is in Service Area 9. This is a 9,700 square foot development. Acela has the value of the infrastructure cost at 1.6 from that development. The CRF would have been $5,400 at the 10% collection rate. A hotel example, Town Place Suites, Morrison Road, west of McAllen Road. This is just kind of west of 69. This is in Service Area 3. This is a 92-room hotel, 57,000 square feet of development, 9.3 million of development costs, according to Acela. Under the CRF collection, 10% would have been about $3,600, almost $3,700. And we have two other examples, but this we wanted to bring in the relevance of some of the exemptions. You might recall that the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, they had some conditions of, number one, yes, it's time for CRF, but two, there was some residential and non-residential type exemptions. So this is a non-residential type exemption, and we'll all talk through this. This is Rich Products. This is located in Service Area 2. This is 14th Street between Texas Avenue and Industrial Drive. About 120,000 square feet of existing development is there. Value and investment about $120 million, but the proposed expansion is 157,000 square feet. So under the CRF, the fee would be about $42,000. But because Rich Products is a legacy business that's been here at least 5 years, the CRF would be zero. That was one of the items that the advisory committee felt was important for businesses that have been in Brownsville, to incentivize those expanding within the main existing site. Okay. The Cameron Hotel, this is a redevelopment, Cameron Hotel located close by 9th Street and East Washington Street, Service Area 2. Currently, it's about a 12,000 square foot building. Had hotel at one time, we didn't have that information, but the redevelopment scenario is 10 apartment units and 2 restaurants. Okay. Because it's in historic downtown Brownsville, which that was one of the advisory committee exemptions for residential or non-residential, the fee is zero. If it were without the exemption, the fee would have been about $18,000. Okay. Okay, so we're going to move into the discussion of the affordable housing. And I wanted to highlight the law, Chapter 395 of the Texas Local Government Code, only so you see it in print, okay? And under 395.016, talking about collection, assessment and collections, sub-item G specifically refers to the political subdivision may reduce or waive an impact fee for any service unit that would qualify as affordable housing under 42 United States Code, Section 12745, as amended once it's constructed, okay? So what we've done is well, the law goes on to say, if not constructed, the political subdivision may reverse its decision to waive or reduce the fee. That's the qualifier there. But the important thing is that both the advisory committee and staff we've talked about this. The idea is that we're going to create some exemptions for affordable housing, consistent with this. And so what we wanted to do is start out with what were other communities that have capital recovery fees in place? What have they done? So Christopher is going to come up here in just a second and talk about the proposal for Brownsville, but we show Waco, Austin, and then we show 12 cities in the bottom blue section there. And let me start with that one first, because those cities, they've identified that they would align their affordable housing simply with the affordable housing, the Chapter 395.016, 42 United States Code, as amended. New Braunfels is one of the cities that once constructed, the applicant/developer is eligible for a refund of the fee. We're going to have to work through that because the city can't be assuming that, well, they applied for affordable housing. It's got to be that they've got to come back to prove that it was in fact used for affordable housing, that they would get the refund or the delta there. So New Braunfels has once constructed. Arlington and a couple of other communities, I think it was New Braunfels, they talk about alignment with some comprehensive plan requirements, some home trust funds, low-income tax credits, et cetera. So for the most part, they're aligning with what's in Chapter 395. Waco was a little bit different. They're very specific, and they said new subdivision that has 25% affordable housing plus 25% workforce housing, combination of 50%, there would be some reductions that align with the percentages of the annual mean income that are identified as part of the HUD. And so Christopher is going to hit that here in a second. They have also kind of applied it on a lot basis, but for the most part, they're aiming at subdivisions. We could kind of confirm that through staff in our discussions with them. Austin, they have a little catch to it, talking about if their affordable housing meets certain criteria related to income, that affordable housing stay for rentals in place for a certain time limit. And they have for no less than 40 years. Ownership types for no less than 99 years. So if you're going to do affordable housing, it's going to be there for the long term. Okay, so they have timeframes associated with that. Okay, all right, Christopher.
And I would just say that there is an ad hoc, I mean, while Christopher will quickly go over what was proposed, I would say there is an ad hoc committee that we've already met with Country Income Build, but we're going to convene the committee. And so I would just go very quickly through this because really this is part of what the purpose of the ad hoc committee is.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Chris Nelson. Just to quickly go through what we're proposing. So for rental housing, we are proposing that in order to qualify for the exemption, a household earning 80% or less of the area median income using the HUD income limits that are published annually must not be paying rent that exceeds 30% of their gross monthly income. And then for sale units, for a household earning 80% they're only what I meant to say is they're only qualified as if it's a household earning 80% or less of the area median income. And what that works out to be is if you look at an example of that, so that would mean that the monthly rent payment must be less than $1,154 for 2 people, and it must be less than $1,441 for a family of 4 if you're looking at rented affordable housing. And for owned affordable housing, the families purchasing the housing must earn a household income of $46,150 or less for 2 people, or $57,650 for a family of 4. And these income limits are are updated annually by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And I would like to point out that this does exceed the minimum because per 42 United States Code, section 12745, it's stated that affordable housing is defined as 65% or less of the area median income. We're proposing a little bit higher than that. We're going up to 80%. And then just to kind of go over some of the nuances of this, it actually does get a little bit more complicated because actually according to that 45 USC 12745, there are actually two different ways of measuring affordable housing, and you actually have to go with the lesser of the two. So I went ahead and I put both charts up here, but there's a chart for fair market rent, and it's based on the number of bedrooms. And then there's also a chart based on the income limits that I just talked about with the average with the annualized median income. So being that you have to go with the lesser of the two, you have to look at the family size and then how many bedrooms the rented housing is going to be, and then based on that, the rent payment has to be less than the lesser of the two values going off of the charts.
Thank you very much, Christopher. So what that graphic has combined, it has two tables. This is only a working document. Those tables would be referred to by reference in the ordinance because that's going to be in some numbers that change annually when the HUD comes out with the new numbers. Okay. Okay. A couple of scenarios here by land use category. Residential development. Let me hit this real quick, and we're going to swing back around at the end of this. So you might recall we're saying $1,000 a lot across the board. Okay, so any new residential development that comes in after the adoption of the program, it's $1,000 per lot. Okay, if it qualifies for $1,000, and that's for all service areas, all 19 service areas, and then the rate would increase by 5% each year. The 1,000 would turn into 1,050, and so on. Okay. The affordable housing would be zero if it qualifies for the affordable housing per ordinance. Under mixed-use development, this is kind of a cumulative thing. And so if there is residential with non-residential, the residential piece in its single family would be $1,000. Depending on the kind of non-residential, what we're saying here, commercial, it would be at the 10% rate. So any varying number of things could happen here. If there's a qualification, if it's a legacy business, expansion, then there would be, obviously those would be exempt. So, but we do have a cost calculator sheet that it's going to be very simplistic with use, with pull down menus, your legacy business, yes or no, those kinds of things. They'll get built into the number crunch, if you will. But because mixed use has cumulative numbers of uses, there's going to be a lot of things going on, but most importantly, that cost calculator will list it all out and how it sums out for a residential component that incorporates non-residential development activity. Okay. All right, multifamily. And so these examples are after adoption. So let's just say March comes around and you decide the time is ripe. We're going to do 10% along with the exemptions as identified. Any development, then there's the reading of the ordinance, first reading on March 5th, second reading within 30 days. So let's just say April 5th. Anything after April 5th would be subject to the CRF. Okay, so in this scenario, we got three locations. Number one, this is a 150-unit multifamily apartment. Okay, let's take it from the top here. Service area 2, kind of that star there on the bottom by Price Road. We're showing two numbers just to remind you of where you could go, but more importantly, under the proposed collection, what it would be. 150-unit multifamily apartment, $125,000. Okay, at the 10% collection rate. Over in service area 8 by Paredes Line, just to the west of Paredes Line, that CRF at the 10% adopted rate would be $170,000. 150 units in service area 9, just south of Ruben M. Torres, east of Paredes Line, CRF would be $57,000. And then if there's any component of that that's affordable housing or it's located downtown or part of mixed use, that component would be zero if it qualifies there. 10,000 square foot of warehouse, same kind of scenario, service areas 2, 8, and 9. Under the CRF, 10% collection rate, 10,000 square feet would have a CRF of $2,700 in service area 2, $3,600 in service area 8, and $1,200 in service area 9. If it was in downtown or a 5-year legacy business expansion, the fee would be 0. Okay. A retail strip center, just your typical commercial type strip center along any major street. 20,000 square feet is what we're talking about here. Same scenario, service areas 2, 8, and 9 at a 10% collection rate. CRF would be $24,000. Service area 2, service area 8, $33,000. Service area 9, $11,000. If there were some exemptions of it being downtown or a legacy or expansion, obviously it would be 0. Finally, hotel development, 100 rooms. Service area 2, 8, 9 scenario again. CRF in service area 2, $28,000. Service area 8, $38,000. Service area 9, $12,000 under the 10% collection rate. Okay. All right, back to residential. So we struck gold with an image. We were just kind of talking about different things that could happen under the residential scenario. And we came across this image here, and I can't recall where it's located, but it's here within the city of Brownsville. And 3 different scenarios could pop up just from this image. But this is strictly for illustration purposes, because we think that the undeveloped piece there on the left, off of Old Alice Road, Grapevine Loop, we think a portion that's developed now. So this is just for illustration, okay? So in the highlighted yellow piece, there's generally 4, 5, 6 lots that are still unbuilt. So if this was an approved plat prior to CRF, and this thing was total of 238 lots, 12 vacant, 224 occupied, and it would fall under the 80-20 rule. So 80% complete, the remaining 20% exempt. Okay, so the CRF would be 0. Okay. Now we're going to go over here to the right, and we're just assuming. Okay, we saw a nice lot here. We saw a home. Let's just say it's one owner. They want to carve out a piece for one of their kids, dividing the property into 2 lots. The subdivided property with the red dot, that would be subject to the CRF. Okay. Finally, the lot to the west, this is that hypothetical, but let's just say this subdivision was approved after the CRF adoption. Depending on the number of lots, it would be subject to the CRF. Okay. Staff did meet had another stakeholder meeting last week with the CDCB team, and the discussion was with regards to affordable housing. We just want to remind the commission of the level of engagement that's occurred since you asked for this. 120 plus attendees at meetings, blasts to over 350 businesses, whole host of small group meetings, open house meetings, stakeholder meetings. The facts sheets are still up there. The videos are up there. The survey is still up there. It's still open. We still don't have a whole lot of hits there, but it's still there. That QR code is still live. And then obviously the briefings that we've had with you all, the commission in December, and then obviously in January. I wanted to remind you, so the ad hoc committee that's being appointed for the affordable housing, so that's strictly ad hoc. And that will provide input to staff and or to the commission, but they are not the formal committee that provides the input. I wanted to remind you that they are providing ad hoc input as part of policy specifically related to affordable housing. The Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, by law, that's the committee that filed its recommendation to you all for consideration.
We can have the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee present to the official advisory committee for state law so that they're aware of that specific exemption. And then from there, that can be presented to the commission. So everyone's aligned in understanding the why behind certain thresholds for income, rental, and also had a really good conversation with CDCB, Nick, regarding like process. How do we vet, what's affordable versus what's luxury and market rate? Because that's very important. And so they have really good conversations. And so we're not only looking at what those exemptions, what they can be, but also how to ensure they're complied with, right, through a procedural process. Thank you.
So not only will this ad hoc committee provide input regarding affordable housing on the staff side in terms of system development and implementation as part of that ramp up, if CRF is approved, all those elements would be also defined there too. So with that, Q&A.
I have a question on the hotel, 100 rooms. I mean, I see two different numbers. So on that one right there,
I'm sorry. Here we
that
go.
one.
Yep.
I mean, I see a price of 28,000, 38,000, 12,000. But the other example you gave us, which is actually more in, I believe it's in 3, it could be in 4. It's like $3,600.
Yeah, so
And the only difference is 8 rooms.
it was based on the number of units. Here, we're talking about 100 units versus 8 or 3 or whatever those were, 10.
No,
It's a lot.
there's 98 rooms on that hotel.
I'm sorry, which one?
Was another example.
You gave an example before.
I can't.
Town Place Suites Hotel, 92 rooms on 201 Hart Drive. That one right there. We're talking about $3,600. And when we go up to 100 rooms, so which one are we, I mean, which one is real? Or why is there from 3,000 to 38,000?
That's a good question. I don't know the difference in the two numbers. So there could be a difference in the way it was calculated. But I would say that number 3,600 should be more in this realm.
And if we go back to those homes as well on that other one that we saw, we're talking about homes and a,
This one?
yeah, no, 68 homes, I believe it was, or.
Hey, here we go. The Rosewood Estate,
Yeah,
section 3.
so we say it's $1,000 per home. So
right.
it's $1,000 per home, and that $4,000 commercial lot would be $1,000 as well?
More or less. Yeah.
Well, it would be $1,495.
I'm sorry.
It would be $1,495 with 8 cents.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I mean, can you, Joel, I don't know who can give me that number after?
Well, we're
Why
gonna,
is
yeah,
there such
go ahead and,
huge
yeah, you need to look at that as to
So,
that difference.
yeah, and it could.
And
be-
I'm not saying that you're gonna answer it today. I would say that go back and do the formula and check that, and then we'll come back and report to the commission.
But I can give you an answer on that, though. I mean, especially just in looking at this map, and it should be obvious. Section 3, where you're talking about those hotels, where it's much lower, that's a brand-new area of the city. All of the infrastructure is new, all of the infrastructure is recently built. So the chances that we're going to have to expand construction there or go in and build roads is a lot smaller than when you're talking about Section 2, when you're talking Southmost in District 1, older, narrower streets, suffering infrastructure that is in vast need of upgrading. That's why the cost would be higher than 2 than in 3.
So there's two elements there. So remember, the projects that are identified by service area have an associated cost. So even though we have less projects in service area 3 than say service area 9, which is new and widenings, the cost is calculated on a unit cost basis. Each service area has a resultant, a different cost per service unit. That's why there's the variation in fee by service area. So if we're saying 10% across the board, it's going to vary. But we will look into why there's a difference on those existing developments.
Just a comment, Commissioner, we wanted to include the calculations, but it was too busy, and so we removed it, but we have that backup that we can provide.
Thank you.
I think to Commissioner De Los Santos' point, there must be something to where if there's new roads that we've done, and once Old Highway 77 becomes reconstructed, the fee will be reduced because the $12 million price tag of that reconstructed road would impact that, in the future, whenever that is. That's why it's assessed this is reassessed every 5 years, or we?
Yeah, I mean, two things, not only the growth, but the projects that are in Service Area 3. So what's highlighted in Service Area 3 are only the costing associated with those projects, really.
Thank you.
Is the public hearing still open for this item, or is it closed?
It's not a public hearing.
The work session.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is still open. It's open until the date we set in March. Yes.
Good.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Next item, presentations. Presentation, City Manager update, welcoming of new Director of Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
We have Angel Ramos come up, and we just wanted to welcome you to our community. We used ADK Executive Consulting, and just, really happy to have you join our community. He has extensive experience as the Assistant Airport Director of Planning and Engineering at St. Louis Lambert International Airport. And we're just very happy to be here. And I heard he makes a mean empanada, so that's always good in our community. But really wanted to welcome you, and if you wanted to say anything, but we're really happy to have you here. And really, the future of our airport is absolutely very bright, and it's an economic engine, and really an engine that really brings, our community the ability to kind of fly to other destinations, but also bring people, business and tourists here to Brownsville and really get to know our community. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great drive from Cincinnati down here. When I got here, it's 80 degrees. I love it. But yeah, happy to be here. Everyone's very, very welcoming here at the city. My first day at the airport, so it was a whirlwind. I met a lot of people, but definitely I agree with the city manager about, the airport is just right for development, for growth. It's a great terminal, love it. So can't wait to see what else can we deliver for the city and the airport.
Yeah, habla español, so that's always good.
And it's Puerto Rican empanadas. I'm from Puerto Rico originally, so don't to be confused with any other empanada.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Ramos.
Next presentation, Brownsville Public Utilities Board Drought Update.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to provide you with a brief update on the current drought and how it impacts our water supply. So really the main message that we have is this. We're currently in stage 2. We've moved on from our stage 1, which is a voluntary stage. We're now on to stage 2. We have been for quite some time, but the forecast, as you'll see here in a few minutes, is that we're moving on to stage 3, unless we have some significant rains. We see some flows from Mexico, but for the most part, we see the trends we're headed to stage 3. And so we're really asking the community to help us by complying with stage 2 so that we delay, when we reach that stage 3. And keep in mind that this doesn't apply really only to Brownsville. This is, statewide. And for the most part, all the communities within the, along the Rio Grande. Okay, so just to back up, Water Conservation and Drought Contingency Plan. So this is a plan that we have here within the city of Brownsville. And again, all municipalities throughout the state, it's mandated. The plan that we have in place now is a 2019 plan, and we have to update it every 5 years. We provide it to the state agencies, and the next plan, we're currently revising our plan now, so this is a good opportunity, for comments to make revisions. But our next plan, our update will have to submit by May 1st, 2024. The plan consists of both a water conservation element, where we talk about our conservation goals and strategies, and then it also has a drought contingency section, which is what I'm going to touch on now. And that consists of the restrictions, surcharges, and enforcement during these different stages. So the drought contingency plan, again, the purpose is really to limit demand because we are limited in the water supply that we'll have, and you'll see here in a few minutes. So we really want to limit demand throughout the community. The authority, PUB, sets the guidelines. Clearly, we get feedback from the commission, but PUB sets the guidelines and criteria for the different stages. And then the general manager and the city and the mayor or their designees initiate each of the different stages. The watershed, just as a reminder, the Amistad Reservoir and the Falcon Reservoir, these are the two reservoirs where we store our water. Everybody along the river, these are the two primary reservoirs where we store our water. So when we talk about the different stages, you'll hear me talk about the U.S. combined storage. Well, it's the combined storage in these two reservoirs. And within the watershed, down here, we really rely on those tributaries down in Mexico. A lot of the flow that we receive at these reservoirs comes from the Mexican side. So some of the rain that we receive here, but quite frankly, a lot of it, we're relying on Mexican flow. And so they have dams along the Mexican side, so we're relying on their releases as well. So these are the different stages. Stage one was a voluntary stage where we asked the community just to voluntarily conserve. Quite frankly, we haven't been in stage one this year. I don't think we were in stage one last year. That's how low the reservoirs have been. But we are in stage two. The U.S. combined storage as of February 3rd is at 21.9. Quite frankly, I think we received a new number here late Friday after publishing this, which is at 21.8. Hasn't changed much, but as of February 10th, we're at 21.8. And you see, once those reservoir levels hit 15%, that's when we have the option to kick into that stage three. And here, graphs for the last few years: yellow 2021, red 22, green 23, and the white is our projection for 2024. And clearly you see that every year, and these are the U.S. combined storage levels at Amistad and Falcon, but clearly you see the trend. Over the last few years, it's been dropping. Our projection here, this is just taking a look at the last 3 years. The potentially, this summer, latter part of this summer, if nothing were to change, we may hit that stage three. There was a meeting earlier today where there was the different projections where maybe it's a little later this summer. But nevertheless, unless we get some sort of significant rain within the watershed, not necessarily here, but within the watershed, we may be hitting that stage three later this summer. Just a reminder, stage two, our current restrictions. Vehicle washing is allowed during designated days. Right now, you are allowed watering twice per week based on the last number of your address, and there are some of the restrictions. Lawn irrigation, landscape irrigation, same thing, twice per week based on the last digit of your service address. And non-essential watering is prohibited during stage two. And that includes things such as building sidewalks, et cetera, streets. So now I want to focus a little bit more on stage 3. So really once you move on to stage 3, things just get a little stricter. Now, instead of allowing vehicle washing twice per week, now you're down to once per week. And it'll be, again, based on the last digit of your address. Instead of twice per week, now you're limited to once per week. A lot of the other things still apply. It's allowed with a handheld bucket, no larger than 5 gallons. Vehicle washing is allowed at commercial vehicle washing facilities at any time. Fundraising car washes are prohibited. That's a little bit different for stage 3. Lawn irrigation, similarly, it's now reduced to once per week as opposed to twice per week. There are some variances for new landscape vegetation that may be irrigated twice per week. And on our website, if somebody has new landscape vegetation on the PUB website, you can hop on there and apply for these variances. Some additional restrictions, one of interest here are resacas. During stage 3, you'll be restricted from pulling water from resacas. In addition, we'll be limiting the amount of water that we pump into resacas. We'll only provide sufficient for aesthetics, to support aquatic life. So it'll be very limited once we get into stage 3. So that's really the bulk of it. Really more than anything, as far as the restrictions are concerned, that's the bulk of that. And from stage 2, you're moving on to stage 3. Instead of twice, now you're restricted to once per week. Surcharges. This is definitely different. You didn't see this in stage 2. This is also something that may be implemented during stage 3. On the residential side, the allocation is 10,000 gallons per month. Anything above that, you may be implemented a surcharge of 1.5 times the current rate. What we find on the residential side, that the typical residential uses about 6,000 gallons on average. On the non-residential side, you see there the allocation is 80% of the monthly usage for the 12-month period ending prior to the date of implementation of stage 3. And the surcharge there will be 1.25 times the current rate for water used or the allocation amount. Again, this is something that may be implemented during stage 3. And really the sole purpose for this is to deter wasteful use of water. So that's really all I have. Questions?
In order to, I have 2 questions. If going to the surcharge, is that something that the PUB determines on its own, or do they have to come to the commission to approve that?
So the surcharges that are in the plan right now, that's what's in the plan now. We are revising at this moment. So there's definitely an opportunity to discuss that now while we revise the surcharges.
But I think going back to your question, I don't think it has to come back to the
Like a
commission.
rate change has to come
If we implement stage 3, I think they go into effect.
Okay.
But it's between me and the general manager of PUB.
I understand.
I will say that they have shared their red line of their drought plan with the city, and we will be providing you with comments regarding the plan itself, specifically regarding enforcement, because while the current plan only identifies the city as being able to enforce, we would like to recommend that both agencies are able to enforce, because we both have limited staff, and together we can be stronger in that any enforcement action that needs to be taken, is particularly if we get to stage 3. So the current document's very limiting with regard to that. And I think that, like I said, if as per charter, we're trying to be more collaborative, and if we can both help enforce certain types of restrictions collaboratively, we should. And so we'll be sending those comments to PUB.
Yeah, keep in mind, it was a 2019 plan. Conditions were way different in 2019.
I was curious. And the other is also curious. And how does the desalination plant, the product from the desalination plant, how does that help or not help us in a situation of a drought?
No, absolutely. So here in Brownsville, and don't quote me on the exact numbers, but a little over 70% of the water that we provide to the community is from the surface water plants, the river water, treated river water. A little over 30% is from the desalination plant. So it provides definitely some relief for sure. So that helps. In addition to that, clearly we're looking at potential options for, expansion and so that it helps alleviate in situations such as this. So it does provide some relief.
Yeah, just to add to that, there are two options we're looking at for the desal plant. One is optimizing it, so we can get another probably 50% output from that plant. And then the other is expanding it, right? And that both are very expensive. And we're looking for money from the state and from other agencies to get funding for that. But those, we're being proactive there to try to get ahead of this. But I think to add, we are almost in uncharted waters here, right?
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
terms of the drought. We haven't had this level since the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then the only way we got out of that was through a hurricane. And I don't think a hurricane's coming here.
Yeah, we haven't hit stage 3, at least since these plants were required back in the 90s. We've never hit stage 3 here in Brownsville. And we are fortunate that we do have the plant.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of communities have this other desalination plant.
Another question would be the transfer from Mexico. Are we still waiting on that? Is that something that we've heard? Are they still inside the time that they're allowed to do it?
Yeah, so all this is tied to a 1944 treaty. They have a 5-year cycle that they're allotted to release so much water. So we're in 2024. They still have time to provide what they're required. They're way behind. So in theory, by treaty, they could still make it all up next year.
They have till 2025, till the end, or 2024?
2025. 2025 is the 5-year cycle. So they can provide it all in the last year. They're way behind for now. And there's an agency, IBWC, that works with, who has members from both the United States and Mexico, that work together to try to, resolve those issues like that.
I also think it would be important for PUB to share what car washes are actually using in water, because, everybody gets that question. And sometimes most of us believe that they're using a lot more water than they really are for some pumps and some. So I think it's just important for you to get it out there so we really know and we're informed on why they're not being shut down even on stage 3. Please.
The city is, because we did go through some exercise with regard to those that use reclaimed water and those that didn't, Commissioner. And so they were still pretty high from what I recall, some of the data that was shared from PUB, and we can send that to you. But we are looking at restricting the distance and also requesting that they have reclaimed water as far as with regard to new car washes. That'll be going to planning and zoning. It's been noticed, and then to city commission for approval.
Yeah, no, I think it's important for PUB to share that, to tell us, hey, this is the amount of water. Because if we're going to put a surplus or surcharge on a family who uses more than 10,000 gallons, I mean, I don't know if there's 6 people, 8 people living in that house. So, we really have to be careful on how you enforce it or what the number is going to be.
Well, to that point, I agree with you, Commissioner Cardenas. For me, the most important thing is, so the way I see the current surcharge, right, is 80% of what they used before we went into stage 3. So, right, am I correct? Yeah. So all of the car washes, let's say they were using, I don't even want to imagine, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of gallons, right? They're going to be at 80%. They only get charged a 1.25 surcharge of a lot of water. And I think that maybe that's not that's clear to me, and maybe this question isn't addressed to you, but as a city, Helen, I don't know what, being in stage 3, right? I just don't know, also not in the business of putting people out of business, okay? But that's just something that we're in a real tough predicament when it comes to the amount. I think that's what Commissioner Cardenas, and I just wanted to echo that I agree. I have no idea, and I'm not gonna put you on the spot to tell me how many gallons of water does whatever a wash use. But I do think that information is valuable for us as a city, just to take a look at it. I don't know how, but anyway.
I mean, we can work with PUB to see
Yeah.
what data we can, and also, so we are all making an informed decision.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the information.
It is now 6:41. Mayor, would you like to make a motion for executive session?
Sure,
So
I'll
moved.
entertain a motion. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
And a
Second.
second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you. For the record, the following agenda item will be discussed. Closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney related to commission meetings, Office of the City Attorney.
Okay, sir. Yeah.
That's been right.
I mean, it's an impact. I'm doing my-
It is now 6:56. Reconvene in open session. The next item is public hearings on items to be ratified.
Mayor and Commission, out of an abundance of caution, the city will be ratifying actions taken at the February 6, 2024 City Commission meeting. Ratifying simply means to approve or enact a legally binding act that would not otherwise be binding in the absence of such approval, and therefore we'll start the public hearings.
Council.
Public hearing number 1, public hearing and action to ratify first reading on ordinance number 2023-1734, amending Chapter 14, Aviation, Article 4, Rates and Charges, Section 14-125, Landing Fees, to adopt new landing fee policy and rates, Airport Department.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. My understanding is we're just going to open up the public comment period.
Sure. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'll move to ratify the first reading on ordinance number 2023-1734.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 2, public hearing and action to ratify first reading on ordinance number 2024-235.104 to amend the Unified Development Code, UDC, Section 4.6.2 G, bicycle, parking, and dealing with related matters, multimodal transportation.
Good evening. Would we like to open the public hearing?
Sure, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
Move
I'll
to
move to
close
close.
public hearing, Mayor.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'll move to ratify first reading of ordinance 2024-235.104.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Public hearing number 3, public hearing and action to ratify first reading on ordinance number 235-2023-907-PD to establish a planned development district to create development-specific landscaping requirements for an approximate 1.9630 acres out of Espiritu Santo Grant, Share 22, Part Tract K-1, Cameron County, Texas, located on East Alton Glory Boulevard, Brownsville, Texas, 78526, as shown in Exhibit A, District 3 Planning and Redevelopment Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. We would like to open the public hearing.
Sure, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I move to ratify the first reading of ordinance number 235-2023-907-PD.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next are consent agenda items.
I'll move to approve consent agenda items.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve consent agenda.
Question real quick. Can we approve the minutes if we're going to ratify them after? That's the February 6th minutes, isn't it?
Yes, the agenda item has those amendments already included.
Thank you.
All right. We do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Next item, public hearings. Public hearing number 1, public hearing and action on first reading on ordinance number 235-2024-001 to rezone from agriculture AG to residential single-family R-1 to allow a single-family residential development for an approximate 55.00 acres consisting of 49.360 acres out of Share 4, Espiritu Santo Grant, and all of Lot 19, Block 1, Villanueva Subdivision, Cameron County, Texas, located on Old Military Road, Brownsville, Texas, 78520, as shown in Exhibit A, District 4, Planning and Redevelopment Department.
Good evening again, Mayor, Commissioners. This request is to rezone from agriculture to residential single-family R1. The proposed use will be a single-family residential development, and it is fronting Old Military Road. This is a 200-foot buffer map. There were 29 mailouts and 0 written opposition. This is a zoning map. What predominates in the area is agriculture. There is also residential estate to the east, residential single-family to the east and west, and commercial corridor to the north. P&Z did recommend the approval to rezone from agriculture to residential single-family R1. Any questions?
All right, this is a public hearing, so if there's anyone here that wishes to address the commission on this item, please step forward.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close public hearing. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, items for individual considerations.
Bless you.
Bless you. Action item number 1, consideration and action to award a contract to Foremost Paving, Inc. in the amount of $2,459,220.97 for the construction of the Brownsville to Los Fresnos Hike and Bike Trail Phase 1 project as budgeted, Multimodal Transportation Department.
So Mayor, City Commissioners, it's been a long road, but we're finally here to the construction phase of this project. Based on the bids that we receive, the lowest bidder as per TxDOT certified is Foremost, and so we ask the commission to approve the contract.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Action item number 2, consideration and action to approve Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation, BCIC, expenditure of Type B sales tax funds for fiscal year 2024 Cycle 1 Quality of Life Grant Program in the amount of $834,130. I'm sorry, $834,130.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commission. My name is Miriam Suarez, and I'm BCIC's Community Development Manager. I'm sorry. Tonight, I bring for your consideration 4 projects for Cycle 1 of our Quality of Life program. Our program aims to support local organizations and businesses through grant assistance and facilitating the implementation of projects dedicated to enriching our community's recreational and aesthetic attributes. There are 3 funding cycles that are programmed for this fiscal year. The total funding, the program budget, I apologize, is $3 million, and the total funding request for the 4 projects is $834,130, which would leave a remaining fund balance of approximately $2.2 million. And in the subsequent slides, I will provide an overview of each project. The first is the Rapido Pre-Disaster Recovery Plan from CDCB. This would result in the creation of a disaster recovery plan outlining the steps the city of Brownsville can take should a natural disaster occur. The benefits of this project is that it is a proactive guide for disaster recovery. This plan would be the first in the state to be created, and it would help implement the existing Rapido disaster recovery model. The total project cost for this is $50,000. The funding request is for $50,000. The next one is for the Valley Zoological Society. It's a zip line at Gladys Porter Zoo. This project would include the installation of a 2-person zip line, and it's the first element in phase 1 of the zoo master plan. The project benefits include it provides a unique recreational opportunity for all ages. It will hopefully increase the visitorship to the zoo and overall tourism to Brownsville, and provide an additional funding source for the zoo to retain and attract qualified staff. The total project cost is approximately $1.2 million, and the funding request is $719,230. The next project is for Good Neighbor Settlement House. This is to hire a firm to develop construction plans to remodel the historic building to efficiently redistribute the interior spaces and improve the services they currently provide. And so the benefits would include enhancing the organization's capacity to better deliver services to the community. It preserves the historic building, beautifies the area, promotes sense of pride, engagement and commitment among the community that they serve. The cost of the project is for $25,000, and that is the funding request, $25,000. The last one would be Dean Porter Park Renovations, Inc., Amelia Earhart Tribute Sculpture. This would include the purchase and installation of a tribute sculpture to be located at Dean Porter Park, and it's interactive. They would develop a citywide awareness campaign about Amelia Earhart's aviation legacy and ties to Brownsville's history. Partners include the Historic Brownsville Museum, the Children's Museum, Commemorative Air Force Museum, and BISD. And this would help raise awareness of Brownsville's aviation history. It would provide an interactive work of art that teaches a history lesson and that serves as an attraction. And it leverages the existing works of art already at Dean Porter Park. So this is a project funding recap. So CDCB funding request is for $50,000 for the Rapido Disaster Recovery Plan. Valley Zoological Society, the funding request is $719,230 for the zip line at Gladys Porter Zoo. Good Neighbor Settlement House, funding request is $25,000 for construction plans. And lastly, the Dean Porter Park Renovation, Inc. The funding request is for $39,900 for the Amelia Earhart Tribute Sculpture. And so we're asking for consideration of the total funding request of $834,130. I'm available to answer any questions.
Question?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion on this item?
I do have one comment on it, on that statue. Hopefully they don't circle it out like they do at certain events. I mean, that's made for people to take pictures with, so I sure hope that they're asked to not close it off like they do during, I think it's Beer Fest.
Okay.
They close out that thing like if somebody was gonna steal it, that other statue. Nobody's taking it anymore.
No, I will pass on the comment to
Yeah,
the
please,
organization.
thank you.
All right, any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you.
Next item, board appointments. Action item number 1, consideration and action on resolution number 2024 2024-010-A to appoint members to the Affordable Housing Ad Hoc Committee for the Capital Recovery Fee, City Manager's Office.
So mayors were here, Mayor and Commissioners, we were here last meeting, but I know some of the members wanted to opt out for this meeting. So we have Commissioner at-large A, Commissioner at-large at B, and then Commissioner District 4 that have
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'd like to appoint Fernando Bailly.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
And I will hold mine one more meeting.
Ayes have it, motion carries. You're going to hold yours?
I'll hold one more meeting.
Thank you.
Don't let that stop you, Nick.
Action item number 2. Consideration and action on resolution number 2024-019 to appoint or reappoint 5 members to the Special Needs Advisory Board to fill existing vacancies, Parks and Recreation Department.
Mayor and Commission, we have 5 openings on the Special Needs Advisory Board, and those are before you.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and reappoint Sergio Zarate.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'd like to reappoint Maribel Leos.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'll move to appoint Maria Rousset.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I move to appoint Lahoma Peters.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I move to appoint Virginia Pina.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Action item number 3, consideration and action on resolution number 2023-135-A to appoint 1 member to the LGBTQ+ task force to fill an existing vacancy. Mayor, City Commissioners, we have 1 vacancy. The appointment is for Commissioner Cardenas, and we have 4 applications on file.
I'll hold this.
All right, we're going to hold that one.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
It is now 7:14. Mayor, would you like to make a motion for executive session?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Thank you. And for the record, the following agenda items will be discussed in executive session. Item number 1, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney related to Project Explore, Office of the City Attorney. And executive number 2, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, real property deliberation, and 551.087, economic development deliberation, related to Project Refresh, Office of the City Attorney, City Manager's Office. Mayor, it is now 7:54. The next item is adjournment.
Move to adjourn?
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, motion carried. Meeting adjourned.
7:55, thank you.
Let me see, brother. Just gotta pack up and I'm out of here.